Negligee.
Well, Negligee's race in the Alcibiades was top-notch, and believe me, if she'd gotten through earlier, she would have won by plenty more than actually what she won by, and so obviously you don't see that when you look at it on paper. Negligee has to come back to that same form. We watch her work here. It's not the prettiest work in the world, but she does get across the ground, and you watch those ears moving forward and backwards. She's comfortable doing it. The question is, are you comfortable watching it?
Frank, you took issue with the assessment of Tom Amoss about the work by Always a Princess in Company.
Well, I just took issue with Tom. And, but this filly, I think she worked good on this occasion. Now, this is she's at a disadvantage breaking from the 11 hole. She will need a little luck because she just had the one run around 2 turns. You come to the Breeders' Cup now, you're going to your second race around 2 turns. You'd like a little bit of luck. From the 11 hole, she'll need it.
Well, we've seen Baffert work 4 horses in the fashion, and we just saw him work Always a Princess. The other 3 that are all running in the Breeders' Cup went right by their stablemates, did it in fine fashion, looked like they're ready to run. We didn't see that from Always a Princess.
You're the tiebreaker.
Yeah, which to me, it wasn't as impressive as some of the other works. I think the one thing I noticed that she got a little aggressive when she joined her workmate, and then she didn't have anything left for the lane. Maybe if you worked this filly on her own, you might have had a different result.
But there are going to be other horses in the race.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
She's got to carry that speed 2 turns.
But I don't think it's that much of a race. I mean, you know, there's no half bridled in there.
Oh, yeah, going back to 2003.
Yeah. I can go back further.
That's old school.
Yeah, go back.
That is old
Where
school.
was Jeannie Jones? Do you want me to remind you of that one? Okay, Breeders' Cup, filly and mare Turf, Forever Together, is back to defend her title. She is listed as the morning line favorite at 5-2, but look at Magical Fantasy. With her West Coast win streak, she gets a nod here as the second choice at 3-1.
Finally, she gets some respect, Todd, because for a while there, she didn't get much respect here on the West Coast. And I think she's coming into this race in good order. She's a filly that's not going to blow away a competition. Alex Solis fits her running style well. She loves the Santa Anita turf course. She's 2 for 2, and you can see as she was working earlier this week, she really stretched out. So I think she's a decent bet in here.
Tom, what about Forever Together?
What about Forever Together? Well, Forever Together is a horse that has done it all. I mean, this is a horse that should like the extra distance. She didn't get it at Keeneland. She went a mile, was fast closing there. Look for her in this particular race to come back at a distance where she can lay back and make that big run. She's a champion. Come on, she's last year's winner. And she looks good there, albeit over the synthetic and not the turf, the surface she's going to run on.
Frank, as we heard in the buzz yesterday with Tom Amoss, Midday should move forward into this race.
Well, I think if you put Magical Fantasy as her form, now I know she's improved, but if you put her in Europe, you wouldn't let her in the same race as Midday. Forever Together, I have respect for that, but this filly right here is coming into the race. She looks like she has got one good one left in her, and her one good one is awfully good. So this will be my choice in the filly and mare turf.
From the fillies and mares on the grass to the fillies and mares sprinting, here is your field. And despite the talk about 2 dominating horses in here, defending champ Ventura and Informed Decision, there are 7 others who will line up against them.
Yes, Informed Decision for trainer Jonathan Shepard brings in an undefeated record on the synthetic surface. 6 for 6. This was her working out at Keeneland earlier this week, and she's going to run a race. She shows up each and every time. You'll know what you're going to get here with Informed Decision, and that is an absolute run for your money. Maybe Ventura is the one for her to run down. I think it's a 2-horse race.
Well, let's see. You go anywhere around town, it's Informed Decision, it's Ventura, it's Informed Decision, it's Ventura. Hey, it's not a 2-horse race. What about Sarah Louise? She's only already beaten Rachel Alexander and beat her soundly when she ran against her. She's a 3-year-old coming into this race, comes in very good form, going to love the way this race sets up for her, and she's vastly improved.
Frank, you'd agree it's not a 2-horse race. You think it's a 1-horse race.
Well, I think it's a 1-horse race, but guys, last year Ventura got the half in 44, and she had a lot of real estate to make up. She's not going to get it in 44 this year, but just looking at her the way she's working right now, I think she's better than she's ever been. I think she'll take all the beating in the world, but she doesn't get that same pace as she did last year.
The Sentient Jet filly and mare sprint, part of Ladies' Day. And let's turn back to our first lady here at TVG, Christina Olivares, and the Juvenile Fillies Turf. Much like the Juvenile Turf, overloaded field and a lot of possibilities.
Absolutely, yeah. 12 in there, 2 on the also eligible list. And the filly that I want to talk about is a filly that is the second choice on the morning line, and that is House of Grace for trainer Kenny McPeak. She's 4-1 on the morning line, and here's what I want to mention to you guys. We keep showing that work with Bridgetown and the filly to the inside. The filly to the inside was House of Grace, and I've been back at the barn with Ken McPeak almost every day this past week. What he said to me was that this is the best she has ever worked. She's won 2 races so far, 1 race on the turf, 1 taken off the turf and run over the poly track at Keeneland. He thinks that being able to train over the synthetic is what has really brought this filly around. He said, you know, if you see her back at the barn, she's quiet. She really doesn't do much. She kind of surprised him first time out. She surprised the bettors as well at 23-1. So if he says she's coming around, she's peaking at the right time, that's enough for me. She gets my vote. House of Grace.
She's going to be coming from off the pace. I think she's a major factor in here, but she's going to have to run down a filly like Tappett's Fly, who's going to be up on the pace, if not making it. Tappett's Fly 8-1 in the morning line. I think a consensus here, I'll speak for everyone on the set and then everyone can have their opinion, but this was a fabulous work over the turf. She has only had 1 start and won her only start in gate to wire fashion. And the way she just floats here, I think this is her preferred surface and she'll be the one to catch.
We've watched a lot of experienced grass horses work this week for the Breeders' Cup, and Tappett's Fly looks like one of those experienced grass horses. Tremendous stride, great reach in that stride, and not being asked at all in that work.
Frank, who are you considering in the juvenile fillies turf?
Well, Junia Tepisa, the Italian filly, trained in Germany. She runs in Italy, and she gets Kieran Fallon for this race. And they said that she won her first race. She just won nice and easy, and then they put her in a much tougher spot in the second, and she won much easier than they expected. They expect a huge run from Junia Tepisa this week.
And her plans are to stay stateside with trainer Christophe Clement after the race. They're looking for a big effort from her.
Simon, last year, the inaugural running of the Breeders' Cup Marathon really started the championship races. What can we expect from this year's edition?
It's a 2-horse race, I should say, between Mastery and Father Time. The Europeans won it last year with Mohanic. He's back to defend his title, but he hasn't won a race since. And Mastery, in his last start, he won the St. Leger Stakes. Father Time was 3rd in there. The St. Leger is the last leg of the English Triple Crown. It's the equivalent of the Belmont Stakes. So this horse is a Triple Crown winner. He's proven at the distance, and he's clearly the one to beat in here.
The Breeders' Cup Marathon at the demanding distance of 1.75 miles. Cloudy's Night. Tom, you like this horse's chances a bit.
Well, Todd, you just said it, 1.75 miles, and that really plays to the Europeans. I recognize that. Their horses are bred to do this. Ours, any success we have is by accident, and perhaps that's the case with Cloudy's Night, but he's very, very good. Now, it'll be a little bit further in distance this time around, but Cloudy's Night, winner of 2 in a row, off the layoff since last September, both big races, most recently the Sycamore, a game effort.
I don't know who looks forward to it more, you at home, me on the set, or these guys. It's Backstretch Buzz when we return on the Works Breeders' Cup 2009. Who are you going to call? TVG. 1-888-PLAY-TVG. Become a TVG account holder today, and if you do, you can bet 50 and get 50. 2 outstanding days of racing, Friday, November 6th, Saturday, November 7th, and you can wager at tvg.com. You must be 21 years or older and reside in a state where wagering services are available. Do not curb your enthusiasm.
Hi, I'm Vivica Fox, and I'm betting on Zenyatta at tvg.com. Girl power.
I bet Zenyatta at tvg.com.
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 We bet Zenyatta!
And if you're betting Zenyatta for the Breeders' Cup World Championships at TVG.com, that means you're going to the Classic, where she is the 5-2 morning line favorite. It'll be interesting to see with all the hype that they can now fully put on Zenyatta and what's at stake for her and for Breeders' Cup World Championship history, what she opens up at. She might be odds on just because everyone wants to have a ticket on Zenyatta.
I think that's right. You might get the $2 ticket syndrome where everyone just wants a $2 win ticket if she maintains that unbeaten record 14 for 14 with a win in the Classic.
Bzzz. There's a buzz in the air. It's Backstretch Buzz.